Luck is something that I absolutely hate. All my life, I told myself how unlucky I am. But recently, I've been looking at myself from an outer perspective, and I realize I'm not all that unlucky. I have some stories that I'd like to share of me being lucky versus unlucky. So, first, I've never been lucky at gambling or anything that has to do with probabilities. For example, I have lost a coin flip 17 times in a row. This is only a 0.00076% chance of happening, or a 1 in 131,072 of happening probability wise. And probability is really important here. I have also lost a 33% chance of hitting blue. So this is something to do with roulette. You pick a color and see what it lands on. And blue was the 33% chance. I lost 20 times in a row. And after I stopped playing, it hit blue right after. This is about a 0.009% or a 1 in 11,000. These were just two examples of me being unlucky, specifically in the spectrum of gambling. I could name many other times that I felt like I was unlucky, and I'm sure that every single one of you watching this video could do the exact same thing. But before I explain why I'm telling you about my problems, I would like to talk about the other side, the lucky parts of my life. Where I would consider myself lucky is with my family and friends. I always tell myself, and I firmly believe what I'm about to say, that I couldn't have asked for a better family or for better friends. And because of this, I was given an opportunity to live my life in one of the most happiest ways ever, with the most support ever. But let's stop talking about me. Let's start talking about why I even brought this up in the first place and how this relates to the title of this video, the mechanism of luck. Before we go into the deeper parts of this video and start talking about the mechanisms of luck, it's actually really important that we understand why we need to talk about this concept of luck. So let's review the definition. To me, luck is a force that gives good fortune. And from the surface, it's not something that you can manipulate, and I'm not going to take that away from anybody. It, of course, is something you will never be able to fully control. We don't have that type of ability. But where I think you can control your quote-unquote luck is where luck occurs. An example is the lottery. And you guys will hear this a lot in many different types of quotes. If you never buy a lottery ticket, you'll never have the chance of winning. If you just buy one lottery ticket, you pretty much only have a small chance of winning. But imagine if it was possible to buy 100,000 tickets or 1,000,000 tickets or more. You'll definitely have a way higher chance of winning. But let's also not forget the fact that luck is subjective, meaning that what you think is lucky could be unlucky to someone else, or something that you deem to be a daily occurrence is actually something that's extremely lucky for someone else. So to summarize, luck is something you cannot manipulate or control. But the more you expose yourself to luck, the more often you can get it. We're almost to the big part of this video, but I want to make one more clear section about subjectivity. For example, let's go back to me and gambling. Gambling has never been something I was good at. And there's a reason behind why I'm not good at gambling. I never enjoy it, and I never do it. And to be honest, I simply don't really care for it. I don't have any types of skills of gambling. I don't have good timings to go into situations. I don't understand the tells of the dealer or the handlers. I don't understand the odds of certain things happening. I don't know any of the cool skills that a gambler might be good at to slightly raise their odds of winning. So, what does that mean? There's a higher chance of me being unlucky there. My skills that are not existent are increasing the chances of me failing. Whereas my family and friends, maybe I could pin it to the opposite side. I say that I'm lucky to have my family and friends, but at the same time, maybe I'm also myself, and that's why my family and friends are kind to me. I would say that I'm a pretty helpful and entertaining and a very welcoming person. And if you want to just call me egotistical, you can. But that's not the purpose of this. But I think by cultivating a positive atmosphere around me, people are also going to be positive. So the chances of me having a family or friends that are awesome also increases. Now that we have everything out of the way, let's actually talk about the title of this video, the mechanism of luck. First off, luck is something that you need to expose yourself to. But to some of you, this might sound really stupid because luck is out of this universe. It's always there. It doesn't just go away. But what you can do with luck is actually put it into situations where you want it to be. For example, social media. If we talk about TikTok shorts, YouTube shorts, and Instagram reels, whatever they're called, if I post cute little dances whenever I want and wherever I want, I might get lucky and get many, many views and likes. But what if I don't want it to be just pure luck? What if I expose myself to the algorithms more by uploading dozens of videos a day? This increases the odds of you being lucky, of you getting a video that gets a lot of views. So to me, the first step of obtaining luck is simply exposure to any given situation. You can never be lucky if you were never there in the first place. The next step is to prepare yourself for when luck does hit you. What do you do when you get lucky? Are you just going to be happy? Are you just going to be super excited? No. You need to be able to capitalize on it. You need to make sure you own it. You need to make sure that you make it into something bigger. For example, you apply to a big law firm and you finally got an interview. What will you do? Make sure you have a nice suit. Make sure that you're educated enough. Make sure you write down the time of the interview. Make sure you practice the way you speak. Make sure your posture is as best as you can. Make sure you're as confident as can be. And even if we change this situation to before you even get to an interview, how many law firms did you apply to? Is your resume the best one there is? Have you tried reaching out directly to the law firm? And have you tried making any connections to people? Preparing to the utmost degree allows you to actually translate your luck into something more permanent. There's levels to the luck mechanism. The more you grow, the bigger the fortune of luck will become. Lastly, we have step 3, recognition. This idea comes from what you're actually interested in. For example, I can guarantee that you never recognize the luck of my neighbor isn't being loud today. I'm so lucky. But you know what you did recognize? The fact that my neighbor is being loud today. I'm so unlucky. What I mean by all this is that people don't really care for luck unless it's something they are pursuing. But even looking for it can be hard. The recognition of luck has many different forms. For example, being challenged in a sports game. One person will say, "Oh, man, I got matched against this really strong team. How am I supposed to win?" Versus another person might say, "Guys, if I beat this strong team, I will become the best person in the world." The first person deemed it as being matched against them was the unluckiest thing ever, whereas another person took it as a challenge and opportunity to get better. Another example could be something at work. One person might say, "My boss gave me so much work today. I hate him." Versus a different person who also gets the same amount of work, they might say something like, "I got extra work today. Maybe if I work the hardest I can on these, I can get a promotion." The first person, again, deemed it as unlucky, whereas the other person deemed it as an opportunity. Or this is the last example I'll give. One person states this: "There's no point in trying. There's no way to win." Versus another person might say, "I know that there's a low chance of winning, but at least it's not 0%. The first person deemed it as unlikely, whereas the other person understood that it's not likely, but still tried because it's an opportunity. So basically, all I'm trying to say is the way you look at things, your perspective, it changes the way you recognize your luck. So let's review all of our steps. The mechanisms of luck that we indirectly control are our exposure, our preparation, and our recognition. Slam this into your brains because this will change the entire way of your thinking when it comes to being lucky or unlucky. Now, before you leave and before I end this video, there are two things we have to talk about. First, we need to talk about the opposite of luck, misfortune. The mechanisms of luck, being exposure, preparation, and recognition, they apply to misfortune as well, but in reverse. By decreasing exposure, by making sure you're so prepared so something doesn't happen, and by recognizing when a string of events can lead to misfortune, you can reduce the phenomenon of being unlucky. For example, in any sport you can think of, the less skilled you are, the more that misfortune can strike you. Getting hurt, slipping on the ball, losing a point, getting benched. But what if you were to practice more? Or maybe even more efficiently? Misfortune will have less control over your actions. And the second thing I would like to talk about before the video ends is that we have to actually acknowledge that luck is still a phenomenon that exists and will always exist, and that it is completely and inherently random. Throughout this whole video, I talked about how we can control our luck. We can try to manipulate it in some sort of way. But it is still factual that we can't control it or manipulate it from a foundational standpoint. For example, some people are lucky to be born in a wealthy family. You can't control where you were born. Some people were born in a better location. Some people gain opportunities that a regular person may not have. But the problem with thinking in that regard is that maybe you're not looking at yourself enough. Should you only focus on being helpless? Will you just succumb to the fact that you weren't as lucky as they were? And plus, look at yourself more. Look at what opportunities you received. Look at the things that you have that that person didn't get. You have to change your perspective. Everybody in the world has luck, and everyone in the world also has misfortune. It's a completely random event. But take ownership of the fact that the way you expose yourself to the world and how you prepare yourself and the way you recognize your surroundings are all things you can control. You can't become more lucky, but you can live in a way that luck comes to find you. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I must have said something that you liked. So maybe you could drop me a like and subscribe and follow my Twitch. I do gaming streams every weekday at night. I would appreciate a follow on there too. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.